Good evening, Elliott.
How you doing?
Hello, good, doing well. And good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another Georgian Bay live show with William Myles. And tonight we are talking with Elliott Sheaves from Alair Homes on to build or to renovate. Because, you can do both of those right now. Right, Elliott? Things are still happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Great. And so, the Georgian Bay live show hosted by me, your host, William Myles. Welcome back. And hi, Elliott. How are you feeling tonight, man?
Hey, I'm doing good. Well, thanks a lot for having me on.
Awesome. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm excited about this show, as it coincides with what I do and what you're doing. So it's really great. And, it's different right now. I can't because it's vertical.
Okay, yeah, just a little.
I don't know, maybe I can.
There you go.
Maybe that's better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that the producer?
That's my producer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to make sure I'm on point. Yeah. I can't do it all alone. So we're going to talk about how things are going in the construction industry tonight. And we're going to talk a little bit about with COVID and everything else. And now I'm also wanting to talk a little bit about you, Elliott, and talk about some of the things you're into. And as all of you know that are joining us again, and even if you're new to the show tonight, ask any question. We're live, and we can definitely, I can read them to Elliott, and he can give us an answer if he's got an answer right now, or we can always get back to you. We can leave some links also for Alair Homes, so you can check them out later too. So welcome to the live show tonight, everyone. I am your host, William Myles. We'll start with little introductions. I'm a local realtor with Royal LePage in Midland, and a community influencer with Georgian Bay Live. I like to interview local businesses, movers and shakers, leaders that are doing amazing things in our communities and of Springwater, Tiny Tay, Midland and Penetanguishene, and that is why Elliott is here tonight. He is one of those people. It's great. So I'm going to be happy to be talking with my friend Elliott, project manager when he started, but now he is a partner with Alair Homes, and he's actually in charge of the business development. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. That's great. So Elliott actually grew up on the East Coast. He studied business management at Dalhousie University, and after graduating, taught English in South Korea. That's quite amazing, with his now wife for 3 years. And when he moved back to Canada, he started his career in the construction industry, building custom decks. Then he joined Alair Home around 5 years ago as a project manager, but has since moved on. And now he's partnered with the firm in 2018. And he is now part of the opening new business development. And in his spare time, he enjoys tinkering in his shop, whatever that means. We'll get into that maybe. And
Well, that's what I tell Danny.
that's right. And training for lawns, plural. That's right. You heard it here first. And of course, spending time with his wife and his 3-year-old daughter. Okay, so welcome again. And Elliott, you said you're from the East Coast originally. Why here? Why did you choose to relocate here?
It was really my folks. I moved to Collingwood with my parents when we were in high school. They picked Collingwood, and I was just along for the ride. So I was in 10th grade when that happened. So yeah, about 20 years ago.
20 years ago, so you fell in love with the area, and then you moved to South Korea, taught English, and then you moved back.
Yeah, I actually went back out east. My dad still lives in Newfoundland, so when I went to university in Halifax, it was so I could be a little bit closer to him. And then Danny and I went to South Korea to teach for a few years. And then when we first moved back to Canada, we lived in the GTA for 5 years, and that's where I got started in construction.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So it was in Toronto, it was in the GTA area that you. What was okay? So then GTA, you had your deck building going, you had that stuff going on with them. So what was the draw to get up here out of the city? Then is it closer to family, or because you said Collingwood, but now you're in Midland?
Yeah, it was always about getting back to the Georgian Bay area. I always loved it in this area, and Midland was where the opportunity was. So to be honest, my wife and I knew very little about Midland when the opportunity came about. So we just had a few friends in the area that were part of the recruitment. So when we did decide to come up here, it was a pretty easy decision after spending a little bit of time.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I don't see myself going anywhere. I think I ask this question every episode and I answer the same, like, I'm here to stay. So I get it. There's just a big draw to this area for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you've been doing the with Alair Homes for 5 years, but a little bit you were doing the decks. So how long did you do decks before you got in with Alair Homes?
I was doing that for about 5 or 6 years. I started doing custom decks. We were doing renovations as well, but not as large of renovations as I do now. More kitchens and basements and bathrooms, those sorts of projects. And then I actually got into doing pour-in-place rubber surfacing. So I did a lot of playground construction, a lot of pool decks, a lot of splash pads. So while I was doing that, I was doing a lot of work with a lot of different municipalities around the GTA. So it was kind of a completely different application than your traditional wood decks for residential use.
Yeah, for sure. That would be entirely different. It's public and more commercial, but public use and stuff like that too.
Yeah, exactly. Neat.
And so I noticed, and we did talk about training for triathlon. So like little triathlons or big triathlons or what?
Well, it started off that way for sure, and it's something I enjoy. It's not something I do competitively. It's a hobby. So I try and sign up for a few events every summer, and a friend of mine, we got involved with the Ride to Conquer Cancer about 6 years ago.
Okay.
So we got into riding our road bikes, and then we started running a little bit, and then we figured, what the heck, we'll add the third component, and we started with, the entry-level triathlon, the try, and then we built that all the way up. We tried pretty well all the different distances.
Very cool.
And then now we just we pick an event based on where we want to go and do it, and we just kind of wing it. Keeps us motivated. That
does, yeah. And then you can switch your distances up and go different places.
Right. Yeah, it keeps the dad bod in check.
So we have a couple questions here. Yeah, that's right. Keeps the dad bod in check, which COVID is not helping with. Couple of questions here. What kind of wine are you drinking?
This is Kimmy C.
Kimmy C, there you go. And then that was Whitney. And then Andre asked, when is your next triathlon?
Well, I did one this month, a virtual triathlon with Sports Stats. And until things kind of lift, then I'm not really sure what my first one will be, kind of the way it used to be. But I imagine they'll have these events going on over the summer where you kind of just go do them on your own, upload your results, and
yeah, so you can track everything now. It's like you can't fluff it anymore. It's like,
yeah, that's right.
No,
yeah.
I did it. But, okay, but where's the data? Like,
yeah, just handwrite it and send it
on notes. It's like, no, but seriously, send me the medal. I'm sure I completed
promise I beat the world record. I swear.
I swear. Well, we'll test me later. Might not be in the same shape though. Justin asked if it's true that you're an Iron Man, but we both know that. Yes, so he does too. That's why he's asking.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. I actually texted him. I was like, "Hey, ask this." No.
Well, there you go. So, tell us about how COVID has changed construction and construction in our area and in the province, and for your company as well.
Yeah, it changed really quickly in the beginning. I mean, there was kind of a line drawn in the sand as of March 15th when the province locked new permitting down. So they restricted anything that hadn't already begun. So if you had an open renovation, you were able to continue that. Or if you already had an existing footing permit, you were able to continue that. But with that time of year, a lot of the projects weren't quite ready to be at that stage. So fortunately, because we invest a lot of time in our planning phase, we were able to make a lot of progress on those. But anything that already hadn't started was more or less on hold until permitting opened back up.
How long did that take?
Pardon me?
How long did that take? Because I noticed like there was a stall, but then things kind of started going again. So
Very recently, so
okay,
2 weeks ago, they started to lift those restrictions, and municipalities started to open up on their own time and started to issue permits. And based on their backlog, we're getting those out as quickly as possible.
very cool. Well, and you know what? It's all you can do, right? Everything's sort of delayed and taking a little extra time right now,
Yeah,
and patience has been sort of the constant.
yeah, totally. And like everybody's managing their own things, right? So everybody's just got to kind of work together and communicate and just keep on the same page.
Oh, exactly. No, it's great. And so, what do you see if you had a crystal ball? Like, what do you see going on in the next, 4 to 6 months? You see it sort of ramping up, or do you see it sort of staying where it is?
Yeah, I definitely see like as people, stabilize and they get a lot of security in their own finances and their own situations. I see a lot of people moving forward with the projects they were already considering. I also see a lot of demand on contractors. I mean, everybody's been not totally idle for the past 8 weeks. Anybody that could be working was still working, but I see a lot of contractors, especially right now, trying to secure as much as they can. And once they do get that work secure, 3 to 4 months from now, there's going to be a lot of demand on those businesses.
Yeah.
So I think lead times are going to start to increase. We're trying to keep in really tight communication with suppliers and understanding how their lead times are going to be impacted so that we can plan effectively for our projects, but just really just keeping in touch with everybody. The biggest shift, and I'm a communicator just by nature, but that frequency has really ramped up.
It's gone way up.
In the past 2 months and moving forward, that's the key to success in the renovation and building industry right now.
Over communicate almost.
For sure.
Yeah. Even if you don't think you need to, just do it anyway.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, well, okay, I should. Monica said hello. So hi, Monica.
Hi, Monica.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us. And you have a little girl, Aubrey, at home. And are you working from home a little more now?
Yes, yeah, I've been working from home ever since the lockdown started. Most of what I often do is meeting with people. I'm on the road a lot, meeting with market partners, suppliers, vendors, potential clients, current clients, and all that really shifted to Zoom meetings and FaceTime and phone calls. So a lot of what I've been doing has been remote from my home office. Fortunately, with just one child, my wife is able to manage that no problem, and I can tuck myself away in my home office up in the attic and do what I have to do. But
so the balance has not been so bad for you. You've been able to still get your work done, and
yeah,
no, that's good.
Do my best anyway.
Well,
there's definitely more days now where I might take a midday break and try and invest a little bit more time with them, and if for nothing else, I mean, to give my wife a break for sure.
Well, yeah, and it's you're home, so you almost feel like, hey, I can take this hour or 2 hours and spend it in the middle of the day with my daughter, and why not?
Totally.
Right?
It's really shifted like that whole perception of needing to be, a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 5 or whatever that looks like. And it's just, I do the work when it has to get done. And if it means I got to do it at, 8 p.m. after Aubrey goes to bed, because that's what's best for the family right now, then that's what I do.
Oh yeah, I hear you. Many nights I've been up till midnight getting things done. Like, yeah, when you're in business for yourself, like it's 9 to 9 or 9 to
yeah,
and then you have a bit, maybe you have an hour in the middle of the day, but yeah, you got to put that time in later because the papers come in or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Very cool, very cool. So what are you looking forward to in our area this summer with the family?
Just getting back outside. Our winters are so long as it is, and then with the past couple of months having been the way they are, I mean, we try to get out as much as we can, but mostly getting out and getting back on the water and trying to do that with friends and family as soon as we can do that safely. I think, if anything, the past 60 days have really shown everybody like who your people are.
Oh, yeah.
The ones you make time for, the ones you FaceTime with, and those are the ones that I think we're all missing right now. So my big focus when I can is going to be to to spend as much time with those people as possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. It makes sense too because yeah, there's no hugging. You can see at a distance. It's just not the same, and sometimes it's harder to do that. And yeah,
You know me, I'm a hugger.
yeah, that's it. I know that.
Yeah.
So a lot of people get in touch with me to find out what are the best renovations to do to give them the best return on investment. As a matter of fact, I've got a few people I'm going to be meeting with the next couple of weeks here that want me to go and see their renos and what they're doing and sort of give them my advice. You know, and this is whether people want to stay in their home or for a long time or sell it quickly. You know, there's always ways to add value. If you're going to be there for a long time, I always say, like, don't mind so much your budget if your plan is 10 years. But just keep in mind that 10 years from now, you know, it might not hold up the test of time and things might get a little dated. But if you're going to enjoy it for 10 or 15 years, it really, at that point, doesn't matter. But what do you think? Just pick one. Where do you see the best value to renovate your house?
One's a tough one, but I mean, obviously the kitchen, you're never going to lose any money investing in your kitchen, you know. And I can't just give you one. Landscaping's another one. That's one that I think a lot of people don't appreciate as much as they should. It's something that your own labor and your own sweat equity can go so far, and that curb appeal and that first impression that it makes on a potential buyer, on an appraiser, that can make a huge difference. And really, most of the time, that's all it takes is just getting out there on the weekend and heading over to the garden center and just cleaning things up. You know, fixing that fence, making sure the gate looks tight, you know, all those little things, the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't leave just
these times, right? With everybody leaning out. That's the first thing my wife and I did. We made a list of the low-hanging fruit that were the $15, $20 jobs that we could go and grab a whole bunch of little things and knock off quickly together. Yeah. Those are the things that make a huge impact, especially right now as everybody's trying to hoard as much of their cash as possible.
Well, of course, and like you said, it's you know, you got to grab a shovel and a couple of plants and some dirt, and you're off to the races. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
and
a great one.
Big ones, you know the ones: kitchens,
bathrooms,
you don't money on those.
No.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I said just one. But I like the landscaping out front. That definitely makes a lot of sense. As far as for what I say, like what I think is, if you're going to live somewhere for 10 years, put an in-ground pool in. If you're going to be there for 5, you maybe put an above ground if you really want one, because that type of landscaping, you might spend over $100,000. And depending on when you bought your house, you might not see that right away.
Well, and that's a great point. And that's probably where a lot of people don't start out. But understanding your market, understanding potential resale value, regardless if you plan on selling or not. I mean, you don't want to put yourself in a position that if you needed to pull equity out of your house, that you couldn't. So just thinking through it holistically, making a plan, and just making sure that you're being thoughtful about that and working through it step by step before you make big investments or start to tear things apart.
Yeah, I would totally agree. You got to think the process, like you said. You got to think it through and plan. Yeah. That makes sense. Andre asks, how do you feel about upgrading a basement apartment? Is it worth the expense?
I think, I think, you know, there's some municipal fees involved with doing that. So if you run a cost analysis and the financial model makes sense, I think adding any income suite to a home is a solid investment. I mean, you have to accept to get your head around being a landlord.
Yeah.
So that's probably step one. But, you know, if you're good with that, if it's your primary residence and you're going to move somebody into your basement, then I'd probably try and line up a potential tenant first, maybe somebody, family, friend, or something along those lines. But that's always going to be a good move.
My recommendation is always acquaintances, never family or friends.
not too close.
Not too close, but right. If they stop paying your rent, you don't want your friendship to end. That's like you know. I've been a landlord many times, and I always said, you know, we'll be friendly as long as the rent's paid on the first of the month. And you ever need me to fix anything or take care of it, you call me. I will. But you know, if you stop paying
Wi-Fi password.
That's right. You're not gonna like that. No, that's great, and I feel like so the question was upgrading. So if you've already got one, I'll just add on to what Elliott said. It's always a good investment either way, because when you put money into the house, typically your house, it's sweat equity, your house will grow in value. But on the other hand of that is, if your rent is low because the apartment's in maybe a poor shape, or maybe it's just been used by a few tenants as they've gone, and you haven't had time or effort or energy to put into it, maybe now is the time to do that, and then you can increase your rent to maybe a market rent what it would be today. Like if you're extremely low, it could really be worth it because say you could make $350 more a month, like that turns into stuff over 10 years, right? So
Yeah, and generally, when you're able to do that, you're gonna improve the tenant profile. You're gonna be able to eliminate some of the headaches that could be associated with the current tenant profile. So I mean, there's lots of benefits
upgrades.
to
Yeah.
doing that sort of move.
Yeah, absolutely. And then somebody asked, "Hey guys, what communities around G Bay would you consider a bargain to build in and buy in?" So I still think Midland is really low priced if you look around where everywhere else, like as far as booming places go. Muskoka's booming. It's expensive to buy there. Collingwood, Wasaga Beach, like a lot of these places. But if you look in, there's some gems in Tiny, Midland, Penetang, and Tay and Springwater still have some of these like lower priced houses, but like really are good value, and also the land is still pretty good value in these areas. Or of course, if you get a little like farther north off of G Bay, I feel that the land goes down in value. Is this and you said also, is this Elliott from that amazing documentary I saw today? Were you in a documentary?
That was, yeah, I appreciate that. Who said that?
John Mayer.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, that was me.
Okay, cool. So
Thanks for checking it out, John.
I'll also check it out. I had a busy day, but when we're done, I'll give it a watch. So I want to give Elliott a chance to answer that as well, because you're doing the builds and you're building in different areas. So what do you think on that question?
Yeah, I think you're pretty spot on. I think Midland's going to appreciate really well over time. I think like its proximity to Toronto, to the lakes, to Barrie, to everything, and it's really one of the only towns in this area that I would consider still relatively underdeveloped.
Yeah.
And right now, you can still pick up starter homes or even homes kind of in the mid range that are relatively affordable, especially compared to Barrie, Collingwood, the Muskoka market. There's lots of vacant land in Tiny as well. Lots of big areas that you can build. As far as building goes, I mean, I think the misconception is that building is always expensive, but custom building is you get to build whatever you want. So the idea with that is that doesn't necessarily have to be incredibly expensive. It just means it has to be done with a thorough plan, and you have to have something in mind. So depending on where that may be, it's just approaching it with that mindset. So I would say Midland is probably where I would think is one of the best values around here. Big Harbor is a nice little town as well. There's lots available around the Tay area, but yeah, I'm a big fan of this market. I live here, so obviously.
Right. Obviously, we're fans of this market.
I'm a Midlander.
Right. We live in it. We work in it. We're not going anywhere, and that's how it is. Yeah. No, I agree. You can get a lot cheaper land if you want to go farther north. But what is there? So, why does he have red hair? So Norbert asked that, but I mean that's natural,
Yeah.
And there's some people saying hi to other people. That's good.
I don't know what that's all
And
about.
I don't know either, but anyways,
Too much sun as a child, maybe wisdom. I've heard lots of rumors about it, but
we'll just have to leave it as
yeah,
genetics.
Yeah. Back to you, Norbert. I'll look into it.
There you go. He'll have a look. He'll have a look into that for you. So one of the things I really actually really like doing with you, well, I know you didn't play in the tournament, but what Alair Homes does is supports a lot of different charities. And actually, this year I played on the Alair Homes Hockey for the Homeless charity team, and thought it was really a really fun day, and got to meet a bunch of really great people that were also in the same mindset of doing some charity and having a good time while doing it. So Lauren Rebu says, hey yo. So hey Lauren.
Hey, Lauren.
And so and actually Lauren is Mike is a partner too, right?
Yeah, Mike's my business partner. That's Lawrence's wife. Shout out to Rebel Cookies. Also,
Yeah.
Lauren's TikTok feed is top drawer.
Yeah, and we've had some Rebel Cookies as well here, so I hear ya. So you guys help organize team, raise money for those in need, and now during COVID, like you're helping through food bank drive. Is this
Yeah.
something that's really important to you? Like, how did you go about that? I've also been doing a food drive as well, but maybe not to the scale you guys are working at. So can you explain a little bit about that?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, community outreach is a big part of what we like to do. I mean, Alair being a franchise network, we've got franchises in a lot of communities across North America, but this food drive initiative is specific to Ontario. Everybody is collectively reaching out to their local food banks. I mean, first making sure if they are taking donations, if they are, what they need, how we can drop those off, if they're taking donations, monetary or otherwise, whatever that looks like. So we're going to be working with the Salvation Army in Midland and the Salvation Army in Huntsville, who are both still taking food donations as well as monetary donations. So just reaching out to market partners, suppliers, friends, family, really just anybody, and trying to bridge that gap. You know, we've got people in our community and a lot of kids who are going without meals right now, especially with schools being closed. So anything we could do to support that, be involved with that. I mean, we've got lots of trucks. We can carry a lot of goods to people that need it. So it's a big campaign that we're launching across all of our social feeds, but also, you know, reaching out by email, text, phone, you know, however we can get as much as we can to the people that need it as soon as we can.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny. I mean, not funny. I read an article in the States about food banks, and they were already having problems at the beginning of this. And I actually went down to I just went specifically to a store, and I bought a bunch of groceries, and I went to one of the food banks, and they were like, "Oh no, we're not accepting donations right now. We're told to tell you we're overstocked." And I went to another one, and they're like, "No, we're closed right now," because I think at the beginning they didn't know how to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, "Are you serious? Like, I just leave it right here in your porch where there's room for this box of food that I'm sure somebody could use." And they were like, "No, you can't leave it here." So I ended up bringing it home, and then when the Salvation Army opened back up, I ended up taking it in with one of the first food bank drives I did, which had an amazing turnout. So I wish you amazing. Not luck, because it's not luck when you're doing it, when you're working hard, right? I wish you amazing success with that, because it's incredible, and there are a lot of people right now going through a lot of hard times and difficult times, and
Yeah.
you know, there's no other options for them. So
No,
we got to do what we can to help. So that's awesome.
absolutely. And I mean, that's what community does, right? We support each other, and you know, if anybody wants to reach out, send me a DM on Instagram, and I'm sure William can get you in touch with us if you want to support.
Yep, for sure. We can definitely do that. And you know, I really appreciate you doing that, because you know, it's, you don't see a lot of it going on, and you do see some of it, but I feel like there could be, like, there's more kindness now than there has been, but I still feel like, you know, I mean, we've all heard the news, what happened this week in the United States again. It's like, this is, you know, this shouldn't be happening anymore.
Yeah.
There's other bigger things to be worried about, but you know, we still have to think about those things too, and we have to really try to help those less fortunate than us. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in uncertain times, all you can do is make your next good decision, right? And so this one is, and just so you know, that is a Frozen reference.
I was gonna say, that's because
That's the Troll King right there. You know, I got a 3-year-old.
you got a 3-year-old daughter. That's the dad code. We know that, you know, it's a motivating movie, right? So,
Yeah.
well, that's fantastic, Ellie. Well, I mean, that's pretty much it for us. Thank you so much for joining tonight. Really appreciate it, and appreciate all your insights for sure, and the positive outlook you've got. So, thank you again for joining us on Georgian Bay Live.
Thanks a lot, William. I appreciate you taking the time and you know, having the outreach you do in our community and doing this for everybody. So thank you.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I'm one of those guys that will go stir crazy if I wasn't. So I'm like, okay, what else? What else is there that I can do, and how can I support other local businesses? And again, you know, I said it earlier, the leaders, the people that are really active in our community, doing the good things. And I like I said, you know, playing hockey with Justin, and then you know, being just you know, talking about the tournament. I said, you know, do you want to play us? Gosh, you know, I've never done that before. I'd love to. And it was really quite the experience. And I really like that you guys were big sponsors of it and put a lot of it together. And very enjoyable weekend or day. And then I ended up going on skiing in Quebec after that, so that was fun too. Yeah, you're welcome, you guys. Welcome, Andre. And you know, thank you guys all for joining us tonight. You know, as much as Elliott, we're here to give you guys some information. So you know, we really appreciate everybody joining us tonight. And you know, have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining. Take care.